Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. So for today class, we will discuss about resistance training. There are two components of muscle fitness. Number one is strength, which is the amount of force you can produce with a single maximal effort of a muscle group. And number two is muscular endurance, is the capacity of the skeletal muscles or group of muscles to continue contracting over a long period of time. When we talk about strength, for example, is 1RM, and when we talk about muscular endurance, for example, is 1 minute push-up, 1 minute sit-up. That is endurance. And for 1RM is muscular strength. Next slide is factors influencing strength and muscular endurance. Point number one is fiber type. Point number two is size of muscle. Point number three is angle of a joint. Next point is gender, and the last one is age. We go one by one. When we talk about fiber type, muscle fiber type we can divide into two, which is slow twitch and fast twitch. Slow twitch, slow twitch is good for endurance, and fast twitch is good for strength and power. Next one is size of muscle. Bigger size of muscle produce more force. Next is angle of a joint. Higher range of motion, which is ROM, it will be higher force, and it relates to your flexibility. For gender, of course, male are stronger than female. Why? Because male high in testosterone and female high in estrogen. And the last point, the age, is at the age of 25 you have peak strength. At the age of 35 to 40 you have plateau strength, which is not increase or not decrease. And the last one is at the age of 40 you will start decrease in muscle strength. Next slide is benefits of resistance training. First point is increase muscle mass. Next point is increase strength and power. Point number three is contribute to the maintenance of functional activity, functional ability. When we talk about functional ability is the activity that you do daily life. That is functional abilities. And then next point is prevent osteoporosis and sarcopenia. When we talk about sarcopenia and osteoporosis, is the disease that you can relate to loss of bone mass and strength. There are some factors that influence this disease, such as age, gender, and rate of your physical activity. Next point is prevent lower back pain and other disabilities. Next point is increase insulin resistance. When we talk about insulin resistance is your insulin work efficiently in your body. And next one is increase resting metabolic rate, which is increase your metabolism. Next is increase glucose metabolism. Next is reduce blood pressure. Next, reduce body fat. And the last one is increase gastrointestinal transit time. Gastrointestinal transit time is you will remove your waste product in faster rate. That is increase gastrointestinal transit time. It become more efficient. You remove your waste product and keep more. Next slide is resistance training method. Number one is isotonic exercise. It states that dynamic strength, eccentric and concentric component. When we talk about isotonic exercise, it is the normal weight training that we used to do that involve movement, which is eccentric and concentric. What is eccentric? Eccentric is lengthen your muscle, and concentric is shorten your muscle contraction. For example, bicep curl, when you do like this, it is concentric, shorten, and when you straight it is eccentric, lengthen your muscle, bicep muscle. How to remember? Kalau saya, paling senang saya ingat adalah concentric contot. Saya selalu ingat contot je. Contot maknanya pendek. That is shorten. Okay. Next point is isometric exercise. This is static strength and muscle remain the same length during contraction. For example, you do plank. Because during that time, your muscle is contract but in the same length. Eccentric doesn't happen, concentric pun tak terjadi. So that is constant length of your muscle. And the last one is isokinetic exercise, is exercise that regulate movement velocity and resistance. For example, you jogging with the same pace. Pace yang awak buat, for example, you do eccentric, same rate as concentric. That is isokinetic exercise with the same tempo. You do eccentric and concentric, same tempo. Free weight versus machine. Advantages of free weight. Point number one is one size fits all. That means everyone can do. Next point is variation of exercise. You can do a lot of type of exercise. Next is muscular balance. Of course, it will balance your muscle. And then is joint stability. And the last one is multi-joint movement. Involve multi-joint when you do free weight exercise. Next is weight machine. Advantages of weight machine. First point is isolating muscle, which is isolate your muscle, focus on target muscle. Point number two is for injured athlete, good for injured athlete. Number three is easy to learn. And the last one is safety, because when weight machine is control the ROM. Next slide is how you calculate indirect 1RM. Formula for 1RM is 0.03 times number of reps times weight lifted, and the last one is plus weight lifted. For example, 5 reps to 100 pound, 0.03 times 5 times 200 and plus 200. Okay, in this formula, benda paling penting awak kena ingat adalah awak kena tambah ni darab ni dahulu. Ingat tu 3 tu darab dahulu. Last kali buat awak tambah ni. Saya tunjuk satu-satu. First kali awak kena darab 2 ni dahulu. Ingat 2 ni. Lepas awak darab tu, baru awak darab 2 ni. And the last one, baru awak tambah. Ingat? Darab ni dulu. Lepas tu, baru awak darab dengan ni. Last kali, baru awak tambah. Ingat? Dan jangan awak pandai-pandai tambah dulu ke. Jangan awak pandai-pandai darab number of reps and weight lifted dulu ke. Tak, you must darab 0.03 dulu dengan number of reps and then baru you darab number of weight lifted and the last one baru you tambah weight lifted. Now we will discuss on how you want to designing a resistance training program according to National Strength and Conditioning Association 2000. There are 7 variables that you need to consider when you want to design resistance training program. Number 1 is need analysis. Number 2 is exercise selection. Number 3 is training frequency. Number 4 is exercise order. Number 5 is training load and rep. Number 6 is volume. And the last one is rest period. After this, we go one by one of all of these variables. Step 1 is need analysis. When we talk about need analysis, there are 2 points that you must remember. The first one is evaluation of the sport, and number 2 is assessment of the athlete. We go evaluation of the sport. Evaluation of the sport, there are 3 points here. The first one is movement analysis, which is your body and limb movement pattern and muscular involvement relate to your sport. Number 2 is physiological analysis, which is either strength, power, hypertrophy, or muscular endurance that be needed in your sport. And the last one is injury analysis, common joint and muscle injury site and causative factors relate to your sport. So all these points, the keyword is depend on your sport. All of this is depend on your sport. Next point is assessment of the athlete. First point there is your athlete training status. Either your athlete beginner, intermediate, or advanced athlete. Next is type of training program. Next is length of recent regular participation in previous training program. Second last one is level of intensity in previous training program. And the last one is degree of exercise technique experience. Point number 2 here is physical testing and evaluation. How about the pre-test? What is the pre-test, for example? And then the last one is primary resistance training goal. What is your athlete goal? And the keyword for all this assessment is it all depend on the athlete, on your athlete. Step 2 is exercise selection. Point number 1 is exercise type. Either you want to train core, which is the large muscle, or multi-joint exercise, or you want to train assistant exercise, which is the small muscle single joint exercise. Next point is your movement analysis. Either your sport need to do kicking, you train more on lower body. For example, movement of your sport. And the last one is availability of resistance training equipment. Either you have those equipment, and when you have those equipment, step 3 is training frequency, your training frequency, resistance training frequency based on your athlete training status. For beginners, session should be 2 to 3 times per week. For intermediate, it should be 3 to 4 times per week. And for advanced athlete, it should be 4 to 7 times per week. Step 4 is your exercise order. Number 1 is you do power, and then you do other core, and then you do assistant exercise. For example, power, you go for deadlift, you go for power clean, you go for clean and jerk, and then you go for other core, that is power exercise, and then you go for other core. For example, you do bench press, and then you go for assistant exercise, which is your limb, your bicep, your tricep, your small muscle. And point number 2 is upper and lower body exercise. You do alternately upper body, and then you go for lower body. And the last one is push and pull exercise alternately. You do exercise with pulling, for example, leg pull down, and then you do exercise pushing, for example, bench press. Next point is superset. Involve two exercises that stress two opposing muscle or muscle area. For example, agonist and antagonist. For example, 10 reps bicep curl, and then you do 10 reps tricep pull down. And then for last point here is compound set. Involve sequentially performing two different exercises for the same muscle group. For example, 10 reps of dumbbell bench press, and then you do 10 reps of incline bench press. All these exercise you do without rest between exercise, those two exercise, without rest between two exercise. And then how you want to remember when we talk about compound set, cara saya ingat adalah compound kalau di US dia adalah denda ataupun saman. So dia berat, awak nak bayar. So compound dia berat because it involve two exercise focus on one muscle. And superset is two exercise focus on agonist and antagonist muscle. Step 5 is training load and repetition. Load and reps assignment based on your training goal. From here, you can see strength is for the load is more than 85 and the reps is less or equal to 6, power is 75 to 90 and the reps is 1 to 5, hypertrophy 67 to 85 and the reps is 6 to 12 reps, and the last one is muscular endurance is less than 67% of 1 RM and the rep is more than 12 times. And what you need to focus in this slide is you must know how to adjust between load and your reps. For example, if you go for strength training, your load is 85% and your rep should be 6. And how about if you do your strength training, your load is 100% and then your rep should be 1. You must know how to adjust your load and your reps. Step 6 is volume. Volume is total amount of weight lifted in your training session. Strength is said that your rep is 6 and your set is 2 to 6. Power is 1 to 5 reps and your set is 3 to 5. Hypertrophy is 6 to 12 reps and your set should be 3 to 6. And the last one is muscular endurance. It should be more than 12 reps and your set should be 2 to 3 sets. Same goes to previous slide. Your volume, you need to adjust between set and reps. Vice versa. Macam tadi juga. Contoh, strength, awak buat 6 reps. Bila awak dah buat 6 reps, you can do only for 2 set. Dan macam mana pula kalau awak buat only 1 reps? Kalau awak buat 1 reps, so your set should be 6. 6 set. Single set versus multiple set. Which one is better? Both of it better because it is depend on your reps and your load. Contohnya kalau load awak tinggi 100%, so you can do single set. Macam mana kalau load awak 80% saja, 80%, you can do multiple set. So both of it better. And the last step is rest period. Rest period length assignment based on the training goal. For example, strength you need to rest between 2 to 5 minutes, power 2 to 5 minutes, hypertrophy 30 seconds to 90 seconds, muscular endurance is less than 30 seconds. Okay, in this slide, from here you can see the rest period is have range 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 30 to 1.5 minutes, and the last one is less than 30 seconds. How you want to monitor your rest period is by depend on your load, rep, and set that you done. Tapi kalau saya selalunya guna load sahaja. Contoh, sebagai contoh, you go for hypertrophy, you go for 85% of load. And then dah tahu 85% tu berat, you go for 90 second. Same goes to strength. You go for 100% load. And then your rest period should be 5 minutes. Next slide is exercise variation. Why we need to do exercise variation? Because to prevent boredom associated with doing the same things workout after workout. And the next point is to avoid or delay reaching a plateau in workout performance and subsequently training result. When we talk about plateau, another term for this point is stagnation. Apa itu stagnation? Stagnation tu adalah apabila awak training, awak sampai satu limit awak. Waktu tu masa awak dah tak besar sudah, tak membesar lagi, dan your performance sampai tu saja. For example, you training for 100 meter. Sampai satu masa, itulah your best timing. For example, 10.5 second. Kalau sampai tu je, that is your plateau. That is your stagnation. And what method can you use when you want to vary your exercise? Number one is boosting the intensity of your workout. Hari ni buat 60%. Another following weeks, you buat 80%. And then second point is you can also cross training and perform different activity to provide your body with a new challenge. For example, you biasa buat deadlift for your lower back exercise. Why not you go to belakang fakulti, lepas tu buat tire flip, sama juga, kena lower back, tapi you cross train, you do another activity. And then the next one is changing the exercise sequence. Biasanya buat lower body and then go to upper body. Why not you change from upper body to lower body? And the last one is another option for adding variety of resistance training workout is to replace some or all of the exercise in your workout routine. For example, you substitute, you always do dumbbell pectoralis fly on a stability ball for your typical barbell, change to typical barbell bench press exercise. Tukar exercise, lalu buat bicycle, kenapa tak buat practical? Contoh, tukar terus. Is it possible to selectively train your lower abdominal muscle? The answer is no. Ingat, the answer is no. Why? Because based on electromyogram, EMG activity, record during the performance of various abdominal exercise, for example, crunches, reverse curl, leg lift, individuals generally appear unable to differentiate recruit the upper or lower abdominal muscle. Next point is stated why is EMG data suggests that the upper and lower rectus abs act as a continuous shape. Maksud dari sini, dia bertindak sebagai satu muscle besar. Tak kira upper ke, middle ke, lower abs ke, dia satu muscle saja sebenarnya. Cuma kita yang pecah-pecahkan dia. Sebenarnya dia satu shape, satu muscle saja. One large muscle group. Contributing to the confusion in the fact that during certain abdominal exercise, for example, leg raise or other hip flexor exercise, individual experience localized muscle fatigue and discomfort in the lower abdominal region. This situation occur because the primary muscle used in hip flexion is iliopsoas, originate deep below the lower portion of the rectus abdominis, lower abs awak. Maksud dia, muscle yang awak train sebenarnya adalah iliopsoas. Dia berada di bawah lower abs awak. So, bila dia dekat, paling dekat, sebab tu awak rasa macam lower abs awak yang train. Next slide, we will discuss on resistance training guideline for healthy adult. Resistance training guideline, according to American College of Sport Medicine, guideline for exercise testing and prescription 2006. Point number 1, they state that choose a mode of exercise, type of exercise, free weight, band or machine that is comfortable throughout the full band-free ROM. Next point is perform 8 to 10 separate exercise that train the major muscle group, arm, shoulder, chest, abdomen, back, hip, and leg. Next point is relatively time-efficient manner. Program, you must remember this. Program lasting longer than 1 hour per session are associated with a higher dropout rate. Dia tak nak training dah kalau lebih 1 jam training. Lama sangat kan? And then the last point is perform 1 set of each of the exercise to the point of volitional fatigue. Maksud dia, volitional fatigue di sini adalah when the muscle can no longer perform the action in perfect form. Maknanya awak cheating lah. Contohnya awak buat squat. Buat dah sampai last set ketiga ataupun set keempat, awak dah tak lock back dah. Maknanya dah tak perfect form. Maknanya that is good for the last set. Jangan setiap set pula. Contoh saya selalu tengok orang buat bicycle. Dah tahu berat dia buat, dia tak angkat, ujung-ujung set tu tak dapat, dia pakai shoulder. Dah tak perfect form dah. Jangan sampai set 1 sampai set 4. Semua dia pakai shoulder. Tak. At least only 1 set each of the exercise. Maksudnya set yang terakhir tu. Baru form awak dah tak betul dah. That is the best resistance training. Next one is choose range of reps between 3 to 20 reps. For example, 3 to 5 reps, 8 to 10 reps, and 12 to 15 reps. And at the moderate tempo, 3-1-3. For 3-1-3, Maksud dari sini adalah tempoh dia 3 second you lift, which is you uh, concentric, 1 second hold, and then another 3 second you concentric, you release the muscle contraction. That is 313 tempo. Next one is exercise each muscle group 2 to 3 non-consecutive day per week. Individual primarily interested in developing muscular endurance as well as older, 50 to 60 years or more, because at the age of 50 to 60 years, your athlete or your client are more fragile, and you can do 10 to 15 reps may be more appropriate. Second last point is adhere as closely as possible to the specific technique for performing a given exercise. And the last point, perform every exercise through full range of motion. Ni pun sama juga. Selalu saya tengok orang buat. Buat leg pull down, tarik sampai hidung ya. Lepas tu release. Berat sangat kan, dia tarik sampai hidung. Please do at full range of motion. Bench press tak turun ke bawah. Tarik sikit je. Bila, contoh saya bagi senang lah, bench press. Bila awak buat bench press, awak tak turun sampai ke bawah, muscle yang akan kena lebih adalah tricep tau. Sebab tu awak kena turun sampai bawah supaya your chest muscle, your pectoralis major muscle akan contract. And then baru awak tolak. Kalau awak tarik sikit saja, dia lebih kepada tricep. So there are no specific muscle yang kena. Next one is perform both concentric and eccentric exercise in a controlled manner. Maintain a normal breathing pattern. Breath holding, which is Valsalva maneuver, can induce excessive increase in your blood pressure. And the last one, if possible, exercise with a training partner, because your training partner can give feedback, can give you assistance, or can give you motivation. They can support you, assist you when you do your exercise. On our next slide, we will discuss about age-related differences and their implication for resistance training. We focus on older adult and children. Resistance training and children. Potential benefits. First one is increased muscular strength, endurance and power. Number two is prevention of injury during sport and recreational activity. Number three is enhanced bone status, which is increase your bone mass, bone length. That is enhanced bone status. Next is improve performance capacity in sport and recreational activity. Next is development of proper behavior for an active lifestyle. Next is improve health and fitness profile. Next is alternative activity and avoiding negative behavior. And the last one is social and personal benefit. Increase those child self-esteem, improving body image, and increase their self-confidence. Next is participation in resistance training activities by children according to National Sport and Conditioning Association 2001. First point there is children under 7 years old, not permitted to engage in any resistance training activity with free weight or any exercise device machine in facilities designed for use of adults and adolescents should be denied access to such training area. Dia tak dibenarkan buat resistance training. Maksud dia di sini, ada yang tanya saya, maksud dia di sini, memang tak boleh bersukan ke saya? Tak. Maksud dia di sini, they cannot do resistance training. Latihan bebanan tu tadi. Strength training, they cannot do. Tapi dia boleh bermain. Dia boleh berlari, dia boleh melompat, dia boleh main kejar-kejar. Dia nak main apa, mainlah. Tapi jangan buat resistance training at the age of 7 years old and below. And at the age of children between 7 to 14 years old, children who have reached a level of maturity, who are allowed to engage in specific resistance training activity with free weight or any exercise device machine in facilities designed for use of adult and adolescent. Next point is it must be individually assessed. Awak tak boleh buat macam klien biasa. Awak bagi lepas je buat, tak boleh. Individually assess, awak jaga seorang sahaja. And the last point is greater degree of instruction and supervision. And at the age of children over 14 years old, you are allowed to engage a specific resistance training activity with free weight or any exercise device machine in facilities designed for use of adult and adolescent, and it must be greater degree of instruction and supervision.